Fellow Dominicans, let me say good morning to you and to the media here this morning. My name is Steve Benjamin, Public Relations Officer for the United Workers' Party. To my right is the Honorable Dr. Thompson Fontaine, Political Leader of the United Workers' Party. And to his right is the Deputy Leader, the Honorable Ronald Charles. It is with great joy that we can reach out to the Dominican people for another time, second time in the year, to share our ideas and views in respect to moving the country forward. Let me recognize the presence of the media here this morning, and to the listening Dominican people, and to say good morning and welcome. At this time, we shall stand to sing the national anthem and a word of prayer. At this time, I want to waste no time, but to hand over to the political leader for him to share his vision moving forward.
Okay, thank you very much, and good morning to members of the media and to those of you who are tuned in live and listening to us at this time. Let me welcome all of you to this press conference of the United Workers' Party, Team Dominica, and the very first one for this year, 2024. Let me also at this time express sincere condolences, of course, to the family of Diana Frampton. And we know today is the day of later to rest. Clearly a great Dominican, and we certainly would like to extend sincere condolences to the family of Diana Frampton, and of course to thank her for a great contribution that she made to Dominica. This press conference today provides an ideal opportunity for the United Workers' Party Team Dominica to raise a number of pressing national issues, and also to remind the general public of our party's unfailing efforts towards good and accountable governance in Dominica. When I last spoke to you in December, I raised the all-important issue of a real and present threat to our democratic system and the critical importance of electoral reforms. It's been many years since we have heard the promise of electoral reform from this government. Late last year, there were a series of consultations following the publication of the Sir Dennis Byron report on electoral reform, yet well into 2 months of the new year, we have seen no noticeable movement nor any urgency by this government to press forward with these much needed reforms. It is important to remind the public that our electoral system is broken and in its current form continues to pose a serious threat to our hard-won democracy. We can no longer wait for the passage of legislation which will pave the way for our democratic rights and freedoms here in Dominica. It is equally important that we remind this government that any proposed reforms must contain at the very minimum these four components. Number one, a clean voters list through a re-registration process based upon the residency criterion. Number two, the issuance of voter ID cards to all re-registered voters. Number three, equal access to the state-owned radio station DBS Radio. And number four, campaign finance reforms. We need these reforms and we need it now. So let us move this process forward as quickly as possible. Allow me to now turn my attention to the disastrous state of our economy. Over the past few weeks, I've had the opportunity to speak to hundreds of my fellow Dominicans from every walk of life. I have heard stories of pain, of heartache, despair, and frustration. The people of Dominica are weighed down by poor economic management that has resulted in low and stagnant wages, high prices even for basic goods, and an economy seemingly on remote control. This current government has failed to properly manage and account for millions of dollars in revenue from the CDI program. Its shameless neglect of the agriculture sector has resulted in the demise of hundreds of our farmers, throwing them into lives of abject poverty. The depressing economic situation in Dominica is made worse by rising costs of electricity and the government's failure after millions of dollars spent on the development of geothermal energy to make any meaningful impact in that regard. Our private sector is under constant pressure, in part due to the government's failure to meet its obligations to them. A government drowning in debt and seemingly incapable of addressing the mounting concerns of its citizens has taken to threatening workers within the National Employment Program and all the vulnerable people within our society, threatening to pull the plug on its contributions to them. Given the deplorable state of the economy, the United Workers' Party Team Dominica, in collaboration with other partners and stakeholders, will hold a major economic conference in June of this year. This conference will provide practical solutions to our current economic problems and will showcase the competence and capabilities of a new administration under my leadership to lead this country to economic prosperity and sustainable growth. Indeed, our vision for this country is not dim, but shines more brightly with every passing day. It is a vision for a prosperous Dominica that will see the creation of good-paying jobs for our young people, wealth creation, and attracting our diaspora back to Dominica to assist in its development. Let me take this opportunity to reassure those currently benefiting from government's social programs that once in government, we will improve on and expand our social safety net to adequately provide for those most vulnerable amongst us. This support will be enshrined in legislation to ensure that it is not up to the whims and fancies of any one person to stop or to prevent those programs from going through. On the issue of the proposed international airports, we urge the government of Dominica to immediately settle all outstanding claims to the residents of Bottom Wesley, Matisse, Bonham, Walk and Rest, Eden, Palm Tree, Bowell Joe, and John the Peace, and also to address the issue of no electricity, the poor road conditions, and the existing dust that is creating a health problem for those in the area. We also urge the government to settle all the outstanding claims to the many small business owners and others who are owed by this government. In addition, the government should immediately stop the humiliation and embarrassment of our young people at foreign universities by paying their tuition and meeting the expenses as promised to them. Let me reassure the young people of Dominica that the UWP Team Dominica will spare no effort in working to create both jobs and educational and sporting opportunities for you. I cannot describe the pain and anguish that I feel when I see the condition of some of our young people in Dominica, particularly the young men. A UWP Team Dominica will have a focus on the building of sports facilities and the promotion of sports throughout the school system. Rather than take away the country's playing fields, we will ensure that new and better facilities are erected all over the island. Our country will merge the tremendous natural talent of its young people with the required spending on facilities to ensure that Dominica is an outstanding example in the Caribbean where sports is concerned. In that regard, let me congratulate Ali Afanas and Kevin Munch for being a part of the West Indies senior cricket team, and Stefan Pascal for captaining the West Indies under-19 squad. Congratulations as well to the Dominica under-20 football team for their great success in preparation towards a regional competition. I also wish to congratulate the Dominica women's T20 squad, and in particular Pulitian, Anisha Fontaine, and Amia Gilbert for making the Windwards squad. To our young people, I appeal to you to keep believing, get involved in your political future, and support Team Dominica in making that change happen. Concerning national security, the recent arrest and subsequent finding of Botadaro for the illegal importation of gun accessories into Dominica should remind us all of the number of unlicensed firearms in Dominica. It also draws attention to the yet unsolved theft of police firearms from St. Joseph Police Station. The United Workers' Party therefore calls on the government of Dominica to do more to curb gun violence on the island, impose severe penalties on those breaking the law, and generally improve on the security and well-being of its citizens. More should also be done to curb the importation of illegal arms through the air and seaports, and generally extend greater efforts to stem the flow of these weapons into Dominica. More generally, we continue to be concerned with the tremendous burden under which our legal system operates. Cases are dragged through with endless delays. Persons are held on remand for unconscionable long periods without trial, and the courts are understaffed and under-resourced. Of serious concern is the continuing political interference in the work of the police and the court system. This is highlighted in the continued political prosecution of senior members of our party, to include former political leader Honorable Lennox Linton, former Prime Minister Ellison James, former MP Hector John, Dr. Sam Christian, and Brian Linton. The fact that the former Prime Minister Ellison James was made to spend several minutes in a holding cell must be denounced in the strongest possible terms. My own experience at the hands of this government and our judicial system has been nothing but pure hell. Me, like the others mentioned before, have been dragged through the court system on Trump incitement charges going back to a legal rally that we held on 7 February 2017. I was unceremoniously arrested at the airport upon arrival into the country, was forced to spend 4 days and 3 nights in a rat-infested and unhygienic jail cell. My travel documents were taken away from me, and I had to report to a police station twice a week like a common criminal. In addition, I have just been subjected to the 10th adjournment of my case, resulting in the expense of tens of thousands of dollars and a huge waste of time and effort. I, like others, have been punished even when not found guilty in any court of law, and for simply standing up for and on the behalf of the people of Dominica. We call on this government to immediately withdraw these politically motivated charges, and in the process save this country from the massive expenses currently being incurred to allow 3 foreign senior lawyers from Trinidad and Tobago to prosecute Dominicans on trumped-up charges in our own country. Given the number of issues that now confront us as a people, I wish to encourage my fellow Dominicans to stand up and to be counted. plan to attend and be a part of the massive public meeting scheduled for next Sunday, February 25, at the arch between the two rows of bridges, beginning at 3 p.m. Let your voices be heard. So in closing, let me remind our listeners of the tremendous need to work together to rebuild our beautiful country. This is a task that requires the collective inputs of all Dominicans, both at home and abroad, regardless of political affiliation, creed, or faith, but with an interest in building a better country for all. Let us together wage this battle for a better Dominica. I thank you.
Yes, at this time I want to turn the microphone to the Deputy Leader for him to share a few words.
Well, what we're moving from now, if the media would have any questions, they would probably entertain it at this point. But all I would have to say at this point has already been articulated by the political leader, and therefore your questions would be what we would appreciate at this time.
Yeah, can I just ask Mr. Fontaine, Dr. Fontaine, a question, please? You mentioned an economic forum. Can you tell us what is this forum about and the reasons behind it?
Yes, okay. So we are planning a major economic forum that will take on not just members from Team Dominica, but we're looking to involve business persons within the agriculture sector, within the tourism sector, within the private sectors as well. We're also looking to involve government officials and every person that has a stake in this economy. The plan is to really showcase, if you like, a master plan for the economy. One that will revive the economy, one that will provide jobs, and one, more importantly, that will attract foreign direct investment into Dominica. So that's what we plan to do. It will be in June of this year, and planning has started, and we hope that the public in Dominica will be able to participate as well, because we plan, for example, to expose the different products that have been done here in Dominica. We'll have some type of exhibition that showcases what has been manufactured in Dominica, and really give an opportunity to bring together both investors, possible investors, as well as those wanting to do business in Dominica. Because what we're really trying to do is to, even outside of government, to do something that can stimulate some type of economic activity, because the country is in a very poor state right now. I mean, people are hurting, people are suffering, and the more jobs that can be created, and we are not shy to attempt to do that even outside of government. Because at the end of the day, we are interested in the well-being of our people, and any opportunity that we can find to promote that, and especially to create opportunities for young people, we will engage in that.
Have you already started inviting, you said government officials and so on? And yes. Do you expect them to attend this forum? Well,
I hope they do, because, you know, especially the government, I think it is in their best interest to do so. I hope when the invitation comes to them that they will see it as an effort to involve all of Dominica. I mean, the idea of building our economy, or rebuilding of our economy, is bigger than just the government or the private sector. It has to be a joint effort. So I hope they don't look at those of us who are putting it together, but rather as an opportunity for themselves to get involved. Because at the end of the day, we need government in terms of policy and so on. And it would be good that they too play a part in this conference.
I know it's organized by the UWP, but who will be the main people presenting at this?
Right. So we are still working on our presenters list, but I can tell you that we will be targeting some key persons within the different sectors of the economy. So key persons within the hotel sector, within the tourism industry, key business persons and so on, who will be able to contribute to this within agriculture and so on. So we're looking at really making it a huge event that can, as I said, that can really be impactful in terms of bringing some focus on our economy and helping to strengthen it going forward.
And to follow up on a question, do you all have a venue in mind, or it's too early for that?
It's too early to the venue, but it will be, all of this information we hope to roll out within the next couple of weeks. We are finalizing it. We want to be early in our promotion. And also we wanted to capture the imagination of the Dominican public, because it's something that we're doing, and it's in the best interest of Dominicans at heart. And I hope that we'll get the support of the Dominican public, we'll get the sponsorships that we require, And it will really be an event, a showcase event, in terms of what is available, what can be done, and more importantly, how we can address the economic situation in Dominica.
Dr. Fontaine, you've made calls in the past and this morning for the Prime Minister to call off or dismiss or do away with the cases against UWP politicians and so on. Can the Prime Minister legally take action to dismiss these matters? As far as I'm concerned, and what we know, these are cases brought by the police against you, Mr. James, and so on. So can the Prime Minister legally dismiss these cases in court?
Well, what can be done is that he has the interest, but importantly, it's of course the Director of Public Prosecutions. She's the one who has to see that there is no merit in any of those cases. Other individuals who will charge like us, like the current Speaker of the House, those charges have been dismissed against him. He's no longer before the court. So I think it would also send a very strong signal in terms of national reconciliation, national healing. You know, because we are way too divided in Dominica. These cases are clearly politically motivated. They have no basis in law or in justice. And so I think it's very important. It should be a very strong gesture if the Director of Public Prosecutions take the lead and know the process, as she's done to do in many cases, know the process those started against the political opponents.
Right. It appears to me, Dr. Fontaine, that if the Prime Minister is allowed to dismiss a case brought by the police, that to me is...
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, that's why I said it is a Director of Public Prosecution. It is within her docket. All I'm saying is that the Prime Minister has some influence. And of course, he can, like me, raise our voices to ask for it to be removed. And I see nothing wrong with that. The same way I'm asking that those charges the Prime Minister could request the same thing to the Director of Public Prosecution, because he understands that there is no basis. I mean, after 7 years, you will understand that what we've had to go through, as I said, for me, it has been a very difficult time, and for what? You know, I've done nothing wrong. So too as Mr. Lennox Linton or Edison James. And even to humiliate Mr. James, as was done, that is really called for. I think we need to have a kind of gentler Dominica. Do you want to add anything to this?
No. My final question, I'm not sure if
No.
all right. No, have you met, when I say you, I mean the UWP. It was stated in December that you all would seek to meet the Prime Minister on the electoral reform matter. You made a statement on electoral reform, something that you would like to see. Have you all had discussions with the Prime Minister on this matter?
Okay, we have through the Electoral Reform Coalition. That is a coalition that includes not only the political parties in opposition, but also a number of civic groups, like Civic Vibes, Moonsevier, Concerned Citizens, NJAM, the Public Service Union, and different organizations like this that form the Electoral Reform Coalition. We have made an approach to the Prime Minister. We were supposed to have met with him last Thursday, but he's asked for a postponement. And so we're waiting on a date from the Prime Minister when we can sit down and discuss this issue with him.
So he's agreed to...
He's agreed to meet,
yes.
To meet. So it's just a matter of...
At a date to be announced.
At a date to be announced, correct.
Your meeting on next week, Sunday, what is that meeting going to do?
The meeting basically is to continue to draw awareness to the many issues that confront Dominica. Of course, our continued the sale of the CBI proceeds, and it is going to the issue that we have lost visa access to the UK. Of course, the economic situation in the country, the national employment program, you know, a lot of different issues that are concerning to Dominicans will be discussed at these public meetings. And it's also a chance to call the government to take action on many of those issues that now confront us.
Curtis, I'm assuming that you would be there.
The committee spoke about the international airport and the challenges facing the people of the Western constituency, the Western catchment area. I want to draw the attention, and the United Workers' Party want to draw the attention of the pain the Western people are suffering. One of the biggest is not just the failure of this administration to adequately compensate the property owners, but there is a huge relocation issue. When the United Workers' Party was in government, we purchased the Londonderry estate that was some 600 acres of land. They were paid for within 6 months. But the purpose of this purchase was to relocate persons affected by the lands that was acquired in the UWP area. Right now, the new government, this Labour Party-led government, has acquired more lands at the lower part of Westlake, even part of the Armour Estate and so on. But they are relocating persons to Joe Burton. Now that is creating major dislocation of persons with their farms. When they go to their farms in the morning, they see excavation taking place because it's really state land, but farmers are occupying those lands. The government is supposed to relocate farmers, property owners, to the Londonderry estate. So that is creating huge problems for farmers. Their main source of income is agriculture, and their farms are being destroyed. Farmers would hide their knapsack and their forks underneath their galvanized because as a result of Hurricane Maria, a lot of the farm sheds were destroyed. When they go in the morning, the Chinese have traded away their equipment and the fertilizer they have hidden on their farms. This is very sad. It is very unfortunate. We wonder why haven't the government used the lands that was purchased from the Armours. They don't have to pay anybody for it. They have very little dislocation of persons on that land. The land is more or less vacant. But the government is bent on relocating, destroying the farms in the Joburg area. We as a party would like to call on government to revisit their actions in the Joburg area. Please stop the dislocation of persons in the Joburg areas. They are farmers. You cannot take a man's farm, destroy a man's farm without informing him of it. But what is worse, the Prime Minister Bosi just provided some $15 million for payment for property. But if you destroy my farm 3 years ago and you pay me now, I obviously in poverty. So this is sad, this is unfortunate, and the United Workers' Party is very concerned about this.
Curtis, I think one of the issues that also not in direct linkage with what Mr. Benjamin said, but really as it relates to my voice to the young people of Dominica, the situation of their employment, the situation of sports in Dominica. I know the political leader have highlighted that in his presentation this morning. I just want to, and I'm on the last occasion when the political leader had the first press conference, that issue seems to be alive in Dominica, where our young people feeling, or there is a big issue as it relates to their liberty to speak and to engage themselves in political issues. Political issues lead to policy making. Government will make policies that would enhance our young people in terms of their employment. You heard the unfortunate comments from the head of government as it relates to what can be done to those who have been engaged in employment opportunities under the system. I mean, those kind of comments, they are unfortunate, and they are geared towards our young people and to get them fearful. I say to them, there is no better time than now to engage themselves in what is going on in this country as it relates to our their employment. Sports, look at sports. This is the first time in the history of Dominica we have 2 Dominicans opening the batting for the West Indies. What are we doing for sports? Why are the playing fields in so many communities abandoned? A matter of fact, they're now used as paddocks for cows and cattle. That's what they're used for. And we need to understand that the young people need that kind of opportunity, that form of engagement, so that our country can move forward. And therefore, the United Workers' Party, led by Dr. Thompson Fontaine, always said it this way. the future of this country is in the hands of the young people who must make a decision today as to what is happening to us or what is happening to them. The employment opportunity. A sense of why can't a young person employed under whatever ministry or whatever come out and say something positive or say something without being victimized? Why should young people go towards that? And Dr. Fountain spoke about the issue with our students that are not getting their fees paid. Do you think it's easy? I used to be a student too in England, and I used to be in Barbados and Trinidad. You think it's easy when this account does not have money and you're in a foreign country? All of us who have gone beyond or overseas to study, we understand it. And it cannot be fair to them. And these are the decisions, therefore, they have to make politically, get involved and demand what they want for themselves and for the future of this country.
A final question to Dr. Fontaine. Dr. Fontaine, you said this morning that a UWP government would strengthen the social programs in Dominica. Yes, we care, and so on. The Prime Minister has said repeatedly that the UWP will do away with these programs, especially the NEP, the National Employment Program. What is your own view as the leader of the party towards the NEP?
All right, I want to be very clear about this. We are not about removing what is good. If there's any program that we inherit from this government that is good, we will strengthen and encourage. I talk about the social safety net. I'm referring there to the ability to take care of the elderly, the disabled, those who generally are more vulnerable amongst us. For example, students who can help themselves and so on. For example, I was talking to a family just on Friday, and they have a very talented and gifted